Number 6 says a research paper describes a study to determine if meditation has an effect on sensitivity to pain. Study participants were assigned to one of 3 groups. One group meditated for 20 minutes. One group performed a distraction task, working on math problems. That's a good distraction, right? For 20 minutes. And one group practiced a relaxation technique for 20 minutes. Sensitivity to pain was measured both before and after the 20-minute session. What are the treatments of this experiment? Now, up to this point, we've only seen experiments with 2 treatments, but you can have experiments with more than 2 treatments. This has 3 treatments. It's what are the different groups they're comparing. So we've got meditation for 20 minutes, distraction with math for 20 minutes, and relaxation technique for 20 minutes. Now, what are the subjects? That's who's being studied. So remember the plant study where they gave different inhibitors? The plants were the chrysanthemums were the subject. But here, they're actually studying people. So the people, the participants, right? People in the study, right? All right, what is the response variable? This is how they measure which group had more success. So they measured sensitivity to pain. Notice they said it was measured. So they measured sensitivity to pain. And then does it have all 3 characteristics of a well-designed experiment? Let's see. First off, you need to have a control group. And they did. They had things to compare, right? You need to have some kind of comparison. So yes, they have a comparison, and make sure you write that out because it says explain your answer. You can't just say yes. You need to say yes, they had comparison groups. Okay, did it have a sufficient number of subjects? Now, they didn't actually tell us how many subjects. So you might say, I'm not sure about the sufficient number of subjects because they didn't tell me. So I'd need more information. And then the third one is, were those participants assigned randomly? And again, we aren't really sure. This didn't tell us whether they were assigned randomly. So does it have all 3 characteristics? The truth is, I don't know, but you need to explain your answer. The main thing we're looking for is that you know those 3 characteristics. So your explanation should mention them. We know it has some control groups. We don't know if it has a sufficient number of subjects. We don't know if they randomly assigned it. This is something that happens when you read studies, like especially in the newspaper. A lot of time, this is all the information you get, and you don't really know the quality of the study if you don't know that information about it. So that's important to use as a critical thinker. It's important to know what information you're missing before you actually want to buy into a study's results. All right, number 7, make up your own well-designed experiment. And here's where you can show you understand the 3 characteristics. And if you were the person designing the experiment, you would make sure it happened. So say I wanted to study diet. I have a friend who's becoming vegetarian, and I'm not sure if that's healthy or not. So I want to see if vegetarian diets are healthy. So I decide that I'm going to compare vegetarian diets to people who include meat in their diet, right? So I already have a control group, right? Now that I have a control group, right, I have the 2 comparisons, my 2 treatments. Now I need to get a sufficient number of subjects. So I'm going to try to get 30 subjects to do this study with me. And I would say that that's probably sufficient if I have 30 subjects for one study. And many people repeat studies over and over again. And then the third thing I need to do is randomly assign the treatments. So I need to get 30 subjects who are actually willing, that 15 of them are willing to go vegetarian for as long as the study lasts, and 15 of them are willing to be meat eaters, like to include meat in their diets for as long as the study lasts. And then I need to randomly assign the 2 groups. Now, if I just asked people who were vegetarian to volunteer and I asked people who ate meat to volunteer, that wouldn't be a true experiment because I wouldn't have randomly assigned the treatments. It would be an observational study, which we'll learn more about next week. But just so you know, you have to randomly assign the treatments. So sometimes that can be hard to get people who will agree to eat differently, especially if it's a really long study. That's partly why sometimes people end up doing observational studies instead of experiments. But the science, the statistics shows cause and effect better if it's an experiment. So for this thing, I'm going to randomly assign vegetarian diets, randomly assign the meat diets. So make sure that you show that your study, whatever you make up, and you're going to need to have one ready to make up for the test, so you might as well come up with one now. Whatever you come up with for your homework, you can use again on the test as long as it's yours. Don't like 3 of you come up with one and then use that. Everybody needs to have their own unique study to have on the test.